It is easy to say if Judge Kavanaugh attacked Dr. Ford and is now lying about it, then he cannot be on the Supreme Court. The problem is it will be very difficult to establish those preconditions to know that he did it and that he is therefore lying under oath right now. So how do we process this? My argument is this. The larger problem is how we're trying to figure it out. We're dealing with the most sensitive and complex kind of allegation, something that requires understanding and openness and a willingness to accept what you don't like. Now, we're doing that in a confirmation process with senators that is about none of those things I just mentioned. I would argue it is a perversion of due process, not due process in fact. It is about non-disclosure. It is about political convenience. And our leaders are part of the problem in an instance when we are looking for solutions. They have not hammered out their own standard for how to treat allegations like this on Capitol Hill. They're still using our money as far as we know. The president is all but disqualified from being a moral guide given what he has been alleged to have done and how he has spoken about people in situations like Dr. Ford's. Leaders from his party have surrendered high ground for common ground with the president on matters of political convenience. As a result, this is unlikely to be satisfying, but at least the two sides will be heard. It's a low bar, but you know what? It wasn't certain that we would even get that until later on this afternoon. There's something else that we need in these situations that has not been allowed to date, and I know this is not comfortable to talk about, and I know some people won't be comfortable with what I say, but we need to be able to struggle in moments like this. The Me Too movement has empowered people who have been too often disadvantaged, forgotten, and disrespected. That's just the truth. Everyone must be heard, whether you like what they say or not. And too often, when it is clear that something wrong happened in the past, it's been denied or dealt with deceptively. But what about when it isn't? What about when the law can't give us due process of an investigation or a prosecution with a trial and an outcome that we can haggle about, but at least there was a standard? Well, in situations like what we're dealing with right now, what is our standard? What are the rules? What are the guidelines? These are really big questions. They don't merely define the person who was wronged. They define all of us, our culture, our rules and ways for how we conduct the business of our collective humanity. And we've simply not made enough progress. And sadly, our leaders have either been too often perpetrators or perpetuated the problems. The situation with Judge Kavanaugh is going to come down to political will and public opinion. Now, when I say those considerations, many of you will say, those are afterthoughts. But they're not. You could argue they are the most considerations of all. Who matters more than you in your democracy? The questions: who are we? What are we about? What do we tolerate? What do we condemn? How much do we decide which of those fates is fair? And how do we make those decisions? This is heady stuff. And we are dealing with confusion in our political culture right now on all of those points. It is not just about what may have happened or not at a party with kids many years ago. We know we're not going to be able to be absolutely sure about that, not in this context, not at this time. But we can be very sure about how we guide ourselves in handling it now. So my argument is to the senators: please make Monday about the rest of us, about what the confirmation process has not been about. Make it about your best efforts to find the truth, speak with candor and with sensitivity to what and who matters beyond political gain in the moment. In other words, do your job.